Ultraman Arc Episode 10 is out, and ICOM is prominently displayed in multiple parts of that show. We're going to take a look at it right now. I made a video about an announcement that this episode was coming. It was originally called To a Distant You, but it's actually called To a Distant Friend. I don't know why they changed it. The article said it was one name, is the other name. Who cares? I don't know, but okay. So let's take a look at this real quick because there's a lot of ICOM parts in it. This is the opening scene right here, and you can see right now it's very up front and in your face. Amateur radios, I wonder if they put that book right there. A History of Amazing Devices. Obviously, this Japanese underneath it. So a History of Amazing Devices. That might actually be a fun read. I'll have to go look it up and see if that's a real book right here. But you can see this, and if you look on the screen behind him, right there, it's blurred in that shot right there. That's actually FT8 running. It's shown 3 or 4 times throughout this episode when he's at his desk there. That's an IC9700 on the right. You can tell because it looks like a 7300, but it's got the 145 megahertz band on the top and the 432 megahertz band on the bottom. So he's on 145.480.09 right now. And he's talking on what to me sounds like an FM signal, but realistically it's probably sideband. I don't know. Tell me what you think it sounds like. He's talking to somebody on another planet, so it's probably not FM, but it sounds like FM.
This is JP1514, Juliet Panther 1514.
JP1514 is not a proper amateur radio call sign. They use it for the show. That's fine. It's not a big deal. They've done that in other movies before. They just kind of make up call signs. Juliet Papa is a correct prefix, but then it would have a number and usually 1 or 2 or 3 letters after that. So you're not going to see a call sign with just letters that ends with numbers typically. So not in Japan anyway. I know it's not a real Japanese call sign.
Can you hear me? Over.
Okay, there's a shot of it right there. Up at the top there, it never really shows the screen come alive at that top radio, but that looks like an IC705. Could be a 905. It's the same radio, different radio in the same casing.
Hello there, Kazuo. Always right on time.
Now tell me if that sounds like sideband.
You said water falls from the sky on your planet, right? Rain, if I recall. What a fascinating phenomenon.
Rain fascinates you? I guess your planet really does shape your perspective, doesn't it?
So yeah, so he's talking, and that's a very, very clear, clean signal. That's not real. Not that I think that, there's a bunch of us hams talking to people on other planets anyway, but, it'd be more realistic if it was an actual sideband signal. But, okay, we'll move on. It's still kind of cool that ICOM's in the show. I got news for you.
I guess so.
I still can't believe this happened. It's crazy to...
Let's see.
Good.
Okay, right there, at the bottom left corner of my screen is the IC905. It's on 10,240 megahertz. So 10 gigahertz. It's on a 10 gigahertz signal there. So there's that. That's the little box on top of the 9700 is a speaker, presumably. And on the top, that right above that is that other one coming from behind it. That's still hard to tell what that is. That's probably a 705. I don't know. We'll see.
CQ.
He never turns that on.
CQ. This is JP1514. Juliet Panther 1514.
Juliet Panther's not the correct phonetics either. It should be Juliet Papa. But, again, just commentary.
Open to any stations that can hear me.
Good.
Weird.
Meet you.
Oh, this is when he first talked to the person from space. They didn't speak English, which, of course, that's true. He meets this person from outer space. The SCIP, the Scientific Kaiju Inspection and Prevention Team, come to visit him because they find a signal, because they're tracking him. Actually, they're tracking the signal from space. They're not tracking him. They're tracking the signal from space. So
What's wrong?
They come and talk to him. There he is right there with his SCIP badge. And then he comes in, and you can kind of see FT8 on the screen over there on the right. And this guy tells him, no, I'm not talking to anybody. But they know he is because there's a signal there. By the way, there's spoilers on this episode. So I went back and I watched after I did that video last week, I went back and I watched the first 3 episodes of this show. It's hard to get through. It's kind of cheesy. I probably would have loved it as a kid. And I'm sure it's probably made for kids now. No problem. Episode 3 kind of goes back. So this guy on the, I think that's him. So this guy in the orange shirt right there, his name is Yuma, Y-U-M-A. He's the guy who becomes Ultraman. And on episode 3 of the series, it kind of shows how that came to be. Gives a quick backstory. Each of these episodes is like 25 minutes long, something like that. So it's not a very long series. I watched episode 1, 2, and 3. I think I started episode 4, and then I got distracted with something. I never went back to it. So I watched episode 10 this morning, which has all this ICOM stuff in it. Pretty cool. So that's what we're talking about today. Speaking of, today's video is brought to you by PCBWay.com. You can get all kinds of CNC, professional printing, professional 3D printing, professional circuit board printing, circuit boards in different styles and sizes and types, all at PCBWay.com. They've been a sponsor of this series for the last several months, most of 2024 actually. So if you end up ordering some of their professional equipment, if you want to see your project ideas come to life, go to PCBWay.com and tell them that Ham Radio 2.0 sent you. Okay, this right here is a good shot. He's about to key down the mic again. You can see that's FT8. That's WSJTX. It may or may not be FT8, actually. I said FT8 earlier. Realistically, that's WSJTX, and it looks kind of pretty much like FT8 running in the background on his computer screen right there. He's talking on voice, obviously.
We're very lucky to be.
And at the very bottom right corner of the screen right there, he's got a 13.9. Presumably, that's his power supply. And this is the signal they're monitoring.
Match.
Yeah. Yuma. That signal your friend has been receiving, it's likely drawing something here from outer space. You should stop.
Yeah, so he's talking to this person on another planet on VHF, what sounds like FM. Okay. And the signal's being received by a kaiju from space who comes down and threatens the planet, which is the theme of the Ultraman series. So there you go right there. This is important right here. This noise that you just heard is important right here because the kaiju's name is Noiseler. The kaiju's name is Noiseler. So that's an important part of the story.
Kaiju thought to be invading from space has just descended to Hoshimoto City.
Evacuation.
The noise kaiju. So this is basically a QRM kaiju. Cool. Okay, QRM kaiju. Okay, here's the kaiju using the Iron Man laser from the fist thing that he used in Iron Man 2. Yeah, he used that in Iron Man 2. Hey.
That's odd. It's like the sound faded away.
You're exactly right. The sound around Noiseler has disappeared.
What does that mean? Did it consume the noise somehow?
It consumes noise. So maybe it consumes QRM. Of course, it consumes your radio signal also, but hey, awesome. It looks so real. I can't get over how real this looks. So, all right, let's watch him turn into Ultraman. There we go. Woo! Ha-ha! Okay. And Ultraman fights the kaiju, like here. He's following him out to... He threw a disc out in space, and the kaiju's following it because it's making noise. There we go. Okay, so he's got his IC905 on the left there. It's powered on again. A couple of these shots it's powered off. It's 10,000 megahertz, 10 gigahertz radio. It's a little bit better shot of the 9700. You can actually make out, I don't know if you guys can see it in the video or not, but you can actually make out the 9700 model number on the radio right there. It's dark in the room, so the screen is bright, and it's kind of hard to see the actual buttons on the radio, but it does say IC9700 right there. So they never really talk about ham radio much. They just talk about signals from space and the fact that this guy's talking to a person on another planet, which turns out, again, there's spoilers here. So the person on the other planet, their planet is dying. She claims she's the last person. That pollution has taken over the planet and killed everything. And the kaiju intercepts the signal and comes to Earth to wreak havoc or something. I don't know. Still a fun show. Not, I mean, you know, it was, I was wanting to watch, this is episode 10. I was wanting to watch all 9 episodes between last week and today, where because I knew this was episode 10. I was like, let me watch the first 9 before episode 10 comes out. And I couldn't quite make it through more than about 3 of them, because it's just a little bit too cheesy. It is what it is. I mean, you know, it's not made for my demographic, and that's totally fine. But I still think it's really cool that ICOM was so prominently featured. It would have been a little bit nice to hear, like, what amateur radio was and how it was used, a little bit more of a deep dive into what the radios were. I'm curious to see if that book is a real thing. So who else has watched this? Thank you for all the comments on my last video. I had a lot of you come by and say, oh yeah, the original Ultraman was from 1965 or 66, and I've been watching it. I was watching it when I was a kid, and I watched it in the 80s. I watched it in the 90s. There's been, like, I don't know, 5, 6 different renditions of Ultraman. And the original Ultraman TV show, and this one's called, I called it Ultraman ARC in my first video, because the ARC look like they're all capitalized, but apparently it's called Ultraman Arc, and they call him Arc because when he flies away, he makes this prism of light that's an arc around him. So when after he's destroyed the Kaiju, he's like, okay, I'm out of here, and ding, and it forms this arc around him, and he's gone. But anyway, good to see ICOM in the TV shows, in the movies, in media. It's a good representation of amateur radio in a non-amateur radio TV show, and I look forward to seeing what else they might do in the future. 73, guys.